Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? God. Can you hear me now? I'm going to have to edit everything that I've just said for the last minute or so because there was no sound and no one can hear it. Anyway, what was I saying? I have to gather my thoughts all over again. I said I've been dragged kicking and screaming onto YouTube. I've had to curtail my break or interrupt my break out of necessity due to a massive invasion of my privacy and betrayal of my confidence. That's what's happened. Because the stuff I'm going to share with you now, I've titled the video as closely as I think I should. Who is entitled to this sort of information? Who is? I think when you're raised as a Jehovah's Witness, this is what I said in my taking a break video, in which I specifically asked for privacy. I think repeatedly. Could be wrong. But I certainly put emphasis on that. I asked for privacy, and I can't even get my thoughts straight. I asked for privacy, and I confided in a trusted friend, then a trusted friend. Double voice, why is the audio still wrong? God, why is nothing working? Feedback issues. How do I even fix that? I'm already wearing headphones. I don't even want to be doing this video, and I'm having technical problems to think about. It's perfect, says Delora. We can hear you perfectly. It's a video I don't want to make, and apparently there are technical issues I need to be thinking about. So I've been running up and down stairs for the last couple of hours, transferring my equipment to my kitchen because the bunker is non-operational at the moment. Apparently the internet no longer works in the bunker, no matter, even my phone hotspot doesn't work in the bunker anymore, and it used to. So the kids are downstairs being looked after by Deanna's parents. Deanna is at college this evening, and she's asked me to say as little about her as possible. And while this should be my break, while I should be having time off, again, I've been dragged kicking and screaming onto YouTube to talk about my personal life. Because a friend who I confided in has decided that I am some kind of supervillain. I haven't raped anyone. I haven't committed any kind of sexual offence. I haven't covered up child abuse. I haven't arranged for families to be separated or shunned. I haven't murdered anyone. No seal cubs have been bludgeoned by my hand. No cats have been run over knowingly by me. But Kim Silvio, retired lawyer, former JW Watch team member, has decided that my private life needs to be known by everybody. And so Kim Silvio has made a post on Reddit, it seems, or at least someone pretending to be Kim Silvio has made a post on Reddit which to the credit of the moderators, has been taken down, but not before it could deliver its payload. Not before it could grossly invade my privacy and my family's privacy, my wife's privacy, my children's privacy. Because they're going to grow up eventually and they're going to want to know what's on the internet about their daddy. I'm not going to lie, viewers. I can't imagine feeling that much different if my home had been burgled and I'd been held at gunpoint while my personal possessions were rifled through by total strangers. I can't imagine feeling that much different than I feel now. It's the feeling of being abused. For me, abuse, and I'm not talking about child sexual abuse, that's something completely different, but in its purest form, to abuse someone is to do something to them that they absolutely don't want you to do, that will have far-reaching implications on them, and that can never be undone. It can never be fixed. You can never undo it. And you're doing it to them anyway, knowing what the ramifications will be. That, if I had to condense the word abuse into like a definition, that would be my definition. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel. So, oh God, the camera's switched off. Yeah, when I most need my equipment to work, apparently it shouldn't. Apparently it can't. Is it back? I think it is. Okay. Where do I begin? Well, let's start at the very beginning. So, again, this is all stuff that I shouldn't have to share with anyone. I'm not in a judicial committee meeting. I'm not sat in front of 3 elders. It's nobody's business. It just isn't. But apparently you all need to know what I do with my dick. That's what all of this boils down to. Everyone, the world needs to know what I do with my dick. So, as I've written about in my book, like many who were raised as Jehovah's Witnesses, I was subjected to sexual repression. Like many of you watching, I was told, you're not allowed to wank, you're not allowed to be gay, you're not allowed to have sex outside of marriage. Oh, and by the way, if you do get married, you're not allowed to get married to someone who isn't a Jehovah's Witness. Oh, and just another little caveat on this list, no porn, you know? So what that does is it alters who you are as a person, and it deprives you of understanding and exploring a fundamental part of your psychology. It attaches an off switch to something that should permanently be on, namely your sexuality. And it impacted me in ways I tried to explain in The Reluctant Apostate, my book. It also impacted my relationships, not just before Deanna, but including Deanna, and it led to, and I'm going to try to talk about Deanna as little as possible, because she specifically said, she knows I'm doing this live stream, and she specifically said, talk about me as little as possible. But it led to Deanna and I getting married, knowing not as much about each other as we probably would have liked to know now. I think that's fair to say. certainly without having sex. And due to I've going back like before I got married, with all of this sexual oppression being imposed on me, I found my own way of dealing with things. I kind of skirted as close to the line as I possibly could without getting disfellowshipped, you know? Oh, now the camera's gone again. Thank you. It's back again. I skirted as close to the line as I could, and I write about all of this in The Reluctant Apostate. Not because I had to. I didn't write about all my sex life in The Reluctant Apostate because I had to. I did it because I knew that some Jehovah's Witnesses, namely the Judicial Committee and members of my family, etc., knew stuff about me, and I didn't want there to be any skeletons in my closet. Any skeletons at all. I didn't want there to be anything anyone could hit me with or weaponize against me at some future date. So I wrote about my sex life, or I described some of these issues in The Reluctant Apostate, just to mitigate against anyone who might want to rake up dirt on me in the future. And I talked about the fact that when we moved to Croatia, it was because Diana had discovered me chatting with girls online. And when I say girls, I mean women online. And it led to a situation where, you know, our marriage was in turmoil, and we decided we wanted a fresh start, and we moved to Croatia. And it was moving to Croatia that led to me waking up, because I was disconnected from the constant flow of propaganda due to the language barrier. And the channel I have, if you think about it, ironically, the channel is here, the channel exists, and Lloyd Evans as an activist exists because I am seriously messed up sexually. And now the camera's gone again. Everything that you have seen on the channel, every information I've produced, all the work I've done, if you think about it, stems from my sexual repression and how messed up I was. Because I learned to cope with being repressed by going online, by watching porn, and by going on chat sites. And I hoped, or I really, really hoped that when I got married, everything would be normal. I wouldn't need porn. I wouldn't need chat sites. I wouldn't need any of that. It would be enough that my wife would be enough. And the weird thing was, that's not how it worked. And I hoped I'd drawn a line under it when I moved to Croatia. I certainly hoped I'd drawn a line under it when I wrote The Reluctant Apostate. But it turned out I hadn't. It turned out that my relationship with Diana, despite giving me so much goodness, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. I don't deserve her, quite frankly. Despite there being so many good moments, good memories, and good things about our relationship, there were things about, now the camera's gone again, there were things about our relationship that just didn't work. And I think to a degree we both tried to paper over the cracks. I'm really, really distracted by the okay, I'm going to turn off my mic because Apparently I have double voice. I can't tell you how... Oh. Does that work? Audio is good, audio is fine. No, I can hear you clearly, says Sandra. Thank you, Andrew. Apparently I do. Apparently I do. According to a retired lawyer in Australia. Apparently I do. Your audio is good. Thank you, Amanda. Again, a video I don't want to... And, Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. So, this mic is apparently glitchy, so screw that. And at least if you can hear me, I don't have to worry about backtracking on anything. 1,534 viewers. Everyone likes a bit of gossip, don't they? You're all sick, as far as I'm concerned. It's better with that mic, says someone on Facebook. Yeah, it's not though, is it? Because the mic keeps glitching out. I'd rather actually, especially for this particular video, I'd rather not have to backtrack constantly. Please like Right, so for some reason, oh, I wonder if it's been tampered with, because someone else has access to my StreamYard, who is friend. I don't want to start any. I should probably leave it there. But it's interesting how. No, surely not. Someone else has access to my StreamYard, and they're connected to Kim. And I really, really hope that they're not sabotaging it by muting my microphone. Fucking hell. Again, I don't want to be doing it. Now it's fine. Okay, well, I just need to keep my eye on the mute unmute button, and if it ever mutes by itself, I need to unmute it. God, there's going to be so much to edit in this live stream. Can I even be bothered editing it? Do I even want this live stream to be on my channel? No, I don't. So I can't even remember what I was saying. Yeah, anyway, I developed ways of coping with my sexual repression that were not unhealthy. That were unhealthy. And these continued on into my relationship with Deanna up until I should add very, very recently. So because things were less than ideal in my marriage, I went outside my marriage. Who with is, again, none of this is anyone's business, but there were no affairs, there were no because I haven't really wanted a relationship with anyone else. I haven't looked for one, but I have looked for sex. And everyone's saying, don't say anything else, don't say anything else. Apparently I have to. Apparently I have to. I'd love to know what was causing that mute issue. Now it's stopped. Now, since I've floated the idea that someone who has access to my StreamYard and is friends with Kim might have been interfering, it's mysteriously stopped. Isn't that interesting? So, anyway, all of this came to a head recently. The situation... Now my camera stopped. The situation came to a head very recently when Deanna made a discovery. It was actually following my trip to Austin. I wasn't unfaithful in Austin, but I did... Deanna did see some pictures that caused questions to be asked. That's all I'm going to say about that. And things came to a head, and I was forced to be very open with Deanna about the problems in our relationship. And as a result of that, I came to the realization, as I said in my taking a break video, that my life just isn't working, because everything was everything was precariously calibrated based on assumptions, based on an illusion that I felt forced to perpetuate based on our relationship. And with that kind of gone or compromised, it became a case of, what do I even do now? Right, so seriously, alien encounters, fuck you. Seriously. You were grooming a 14-year-old. What? What? I really despair at XJWs, quite frankly. I feel like, following what Kim Sylvia has done, my trust in fellow former Jehovah's Witnesses is minimal. It's down to like 1% battery power. Because this is what this cult, and now my camera's frozen again. This is what this cult does to people. It makes crackpots and damaged individuals, it makes them want me to be a pedophile. They want me to be a pedophile because they just want me to be destroyed. They resent me in some way. They resent my platform. They resent my audience. They want me destroyed. And to achieve this, they will invent anything, whether it's true or not. And it's really, really disturbing, and my camera keeps going off. Use a therapist. I am using a therapist. You really don't need to continue. You're an adult human. It really is no one's business. Lloyd, please PM me if you need air tickets for you and your family to travel anywhere in the world. Come to Texas. It's warmer here. Or go to Vegas. Or anywhere you want. You need a vacation. Stop. Ah, Brandon's got an opinion. Quit blaming a victim, dude. You cheat on your wife. It isn't about the org. Focus on you and your family. Yes, I cheated on my wife. But Brandon, Mr. kind of saintly Brandon, who's never done anything wrong in his life and has always had total mastery over his penis. I'm here to tell you that we're all imperfect and we all make mistakes. And we all have to deal with fucked up situations to the best of our ability. And my fucked up situation was that I had my sexuality tampered with. And I am by no means proud of what happened and the way things happened. I really, really am not. I hate that I hurt Deanna. I hate it. And I'm not playing the victim here. This is purely about setting the record straight after a friend has betrayed my confidence. I'm not saying, oh, I didn't cheat on my wife. None of this is true, blah, blah, blah. I'm being totally honest about what happened. And this is how Brandon Halcombe chooses to deal with the situation. This is his hot take. Jesus Christ. I avoid X-dubs 100%. With you there. Thank you very much, John. Hillary says, it's a troll, Lloyd. People are taking advantage of this. You really do need a lawyer. This could get very bad very fast. Well, that's exactly why, Hillary, I'm jumping on YouTube and telling 1,930 odd people, according to the figure I have in front of me, stuff about my private life that's no one's business. Because I want to nip it in the bud. I don't have anything to hide. And I'm trying to kind of move my way through everything so that no one has any questions anymore. Jen says, Lloyd, I honour you as a fellow human. We all fail, even miserably sometimes. Take some time. You owe no explanations to us. Sending healing energy your family's way. My problem at this point is that I just don't trust that I'm being streamed anymore because it keeps cutting out. Capitan says, I will never regret retiring from activism because of these XJW types you're referring to, Lloyd. You should do what's best for you. Your body of work will speak for generations. Thank you. Melissa Nav says, I don't see how the fact that he made a mistake undermines all the job he has done and is doing. Whatever happens in his private life is private and has nothing to do with what he does and how many people he has helped. Thank you. God, I'm so annoyed at this, at the technical issues I'm having. I really do apologise, everyone. Again, it's not a video I want to make anyway. So anyway, long story short, I have this kind of crisis where everything that my life is suddenly in doubt, and I don't know what's happening with my marriage. I don't know what's happening with my family, and I need a break. And I said, and it's true, for mental health reasons. And I also said in the video, please don't go thinking that this is just about Lloyd making lots of propaganda videos and it's worn him out. That's not the reason. That's what I said. Yeah? So to the extent I've been scrupulously honest with everything that I've said to everybody. I just haven't shared information that's nobody's business but mine and my family's. At the time all of this happened, specifically on, I think, the 16th of December, I had a Zoom call. Can you even hear me? A Zoom call with two JW Watch team members, neither of whom are any longer with JW Watch. One was producer Bob, and the other was Kim Sylvia. And I shared everything that I've just shared now with them. I told them everything that I've just told nearly 2,000 people who are currently watching this live stream. Deanna and I are having massive problems. It's caused by, sexual incompatibility issues due to the fact that we never, we've had problems in that area. That have come to light due to the fact that I've been unfaithful and Deanna has found out. And so we had all of that conversation, and I was really touched. That both producer Bob, I've got to be very careful to call her producer Bob and not use her real name. Both producer Bob and Kim Silvio were massively understanding in the phone call, in the Zoom call. So they were super understanding. And I said to them, I need to get away. I need to, for reasons I won't go into, I decided that I needed to go away by myself and figure things out and figure out what I wanted. Quite frankly, I wanted to know whether I could be by myself. I wanted to know whether it was even possible for me to exist without my marriage. Now the camera's cut out again. I wanted to know whether it was even possible for me to exist without my marriage and without everything that I have. So I got on a plane and I fucked off, you know. And I went to Thailand for 3 weeks. And it took a while, by the way, to arrange it because Thailand has quite stringent COVID entry requirements, as they should. And throughout all of that time, I was in communication with producer Bob and Kim Silvio. And again, they were very, very supportive. And I'm going to start reading. I'm not going to share screenshots. I'm going to tell you things that were said. This is a message, I like this one, from Kim Silvio when I was having technical problems with the Thai website. LOL, I just logged into the Thai website just to sticky beak and see their rules. The app is working on the shitty Aussie internet. If you get stuck, I can help. Go the Aussie internet. So there's Kim Silvio offering to help with arranging for me to go to Thailand. By the way, I'm really not the sort of person who discusses private messages. But I just want, first of all, my privacy has been grossly invaded. And I just want to give you all context just to show the U-turn that Kim Silvio took. Regarding the taking the break video, okay, which subsequently Kim Silvio maintains was in some way misleading. I let Kim Silvio listen to the audio of the video. And I have here in front of me the WhatsApp message. Listen to your audio. Very well done and very emotional to do, I'm sure. To which I replied, thanks, Kim. Yes, it kept it simple and I'm glad I held it together. I'm glad you're happy with it. To which Kim replied, it's lovely. Camera's out again. Now, the next message is, and I'm only sharing this because there's been, Kim Silvio is also now denying that there was any mental health component to any of this. So apparently, according to Kim Silvio, I've been misleading people by saying it has anything to do with mental health. And this is going to be difficult for me to read because these are messages I sent on the WhatsApp on New Year's Eve when I was suicidal. 4 and a bit hours to New Year's Eve in Patong, where the party is. Just overwhelmed more than ever by how pointless it all is. Closer to the abyss than ever. But don't worry, I'm too much of a coward to do anything because I love Deanna and the kids. To which Kim Silvio replied, no matter how close the abyss looks, there is always a point, your beautiful girls. You are not a coward. It takes great courage to reflect and make changes, but it's worth the effort. And I replied, I can't change reality. Reality is that life is shit. I can only hope to teach myself to ignore that again. God, I hate reading this. I've probably mixed up the order. Oh God, it's missing. Sorry, can you just give me a moment to compose myself? I want to read everything properly, because Kim Silvio is a retired lawyer, and I want to make sure everything's accurate. So the next message is from me. At an empty restaurant now, but heading to the bar to see through New Year's Eve. Then plan to head home with some edibles. Cannabis. Maybe that's something I'm also a villain for. To which Kim replied, well, that's a plan. Hang in there. The dark time will pass. I will say Happy New Year as it's nearly midnight here and I am very drunk. That's from Kim. Occasionally I would send photos from Thailand showing where I was. One message from Kim, OMG, that looks so beautiful, relaxing, much nicer than lining up for a COVID test in Australia. All of this will make sense when I read you what she posted on Reddit later. So this was on the day, I think it might have been the 2nd of January. Is the audio back? 2nd of January, I think this was. By the way, I'm going to bring my I'm taking a break video forward so it plays about 4 hours from now. It was going to go up later, but I want to see the first few reactions before I sleep. Kim Silvio, okay, thanks for the heads up. I'm sure the reaction will be much like the Patreon reaction. To which I replied, I hope so. The patrons have been amazing. So have you. I'm so moved by the support. To which Kim Silvio replied, and reading this, it just feels like the knife being twisted into my back, but I want you all to have the context. I've always told you that your work means so much to people and that your work is an amazing legacy, making your life and contribution so worthwhile. I hope this experience has cemented the fact that people appreciate you and what you do for others. Life is never perfect and we can never have exactly what we want. You have helped so many to improve their lives. I'm sure your audience will be happy to give you time to reflect and sort out the areas of your life that you would like to improve. So this is the sort of language that Kim Silvio was coming out with. I'm going to say weeks, days if not weeks after I'd shared everything that I shared with you. And in the aftermath of my darkest time on this planet, when I really, really did feel like, that life is completely pointless, which I still grapple with, to be honest. So I replied to that last message, I want to believe that, but I'm also mindful that I'm in a community of people who are trying to leave behind an incredibly judgmental mindset, and some will do so more successfully than others. For example, right, full disclosure, I was pissed at Javi for going quiet on me during this period, because Javier Ortiz is basically my best friend, and for whatever reason he kind of went quiet during this whole period, and it perplexed me. So I bitched about him a little bit, but I just want to say, for the record, he's since been amazing. Okay, so, but at the time I wasn't happy. For example, Javi doesn't know as much detail as you both, but he's been very sporadic in whatever interest he's shown in my situation. I sense I'm letting him down in some way. I'm sure if that's the reaction of what I assume to be a close friend, others will be similar. I'll actually read you his message that he sent me before this live stream, before it ends. Please remind me. To which Kim Silvio replied, "The community doesn't need to know your personal business. If the public knew the conduct of some lawyers and barristers I know, there would be a public hanging in Martin Place. The only people and opinions that matter are yours. Deanna's, Jessica and Julia. Javi may just be processing what you've told him and may not know what to say. He's quite diplomatic, unlike producer Bob and I, who just say what we think, usually uncensored." So this is another message. Oh, now it's gone dark again. Wait for the camera to come back on. I still have, this is from me, I still have no clue. And by the way, this was called the Meltdown Support Group, or the Meltdown. I'm dealing with a lawyer, so I need to be ultra careful. It's called, yeah, it was literally called the Meltdown Support Group. So not just the unfaithfulness support group or the prostitutes, sex workers support group or whatever. It was literally called the Meltdown Support Group because I was and am having a meltdown. And in it I said, let me find the message. I still have no clue what the next chapter of my life will look like in practice, but I know I love my two girls and want to stick around for them. I know my work helps people. I know I love Deanna, even though there are obvious problems in our relationship. It's all so complicated, but hopefully I'll get there. I feel like I just have to wait every now and then for the thing to come back on. And to that, Kim replied, "That's a lot. I think that there are sunny days ahead. I'm sure no matter what happens with you and Deanna, you will both love those girls and do your best to raise them well, together or apart. No quick decisions are needed. Just enjoy the space to clear your head and the answers will come." To which I replied, "Thanks, Kim. I really hope so. You're certainly being a massive help, so thank you." She was being a massive help at that point. It literally, it was a total U-turn. It was literally one day she was being really, really helpful, and then she flipped to being super unhelpful. And finally we are where we are now. I'm going to skip to the part where it all goes bad. Actually, I will just read this comment because I was discussing with Kim one or two on Reddit who were really kind of jumping on me and wanting to drag me down over whatever's happened in the past that they don't like. And Kim said, "It's ironic, isn't it? They want to take the tower down, but in fact they would have taken you down, a person who has easily gotten out the most people from the organisation. They are just assholes. You do so well ignoring them on the regular. They don't deserve your emotion. It also reminds me of a saying that you like, and I'm changing to fit the now. The bunker will provide plenty of time for XJW bullshit. Please try and relax and refresh." So that was another supportive message from Kim Sylvia. Where it all changed was when, and I'm not going to name him, but there was an individual who attempted suicide around about New Year's Eve. I don't know the exact date or time, but an individual attempted suicide who was an XJW, and it all happened on Twitter. So it was very public, and people were very, very concerned about this individual, and the police were contacted, and eventually the police met up with this individual and, as far as I know, gave him the assistance he needed, or he's since been receiving assistance. So this happened on Twitter, and this is the message that I woke up to in Thailand. I'm going to wait for the camera to come back on because it's super distracting. After he saw your distress on social media, he became distressed and attempted suicide. He is okay, thank goodness. His choices are not your fault at all, Lloyd. At all is in capital letters. However, I want you to know, as people think the world of you, and whether you like it or not, they look up to you. People have no idea what is going on in your life. They hear mental health and can automatically relate and associate their issues with yours. They can also think, well, if Lloyd can't do it, what's the point of me even trying? And then things like last night can happen. Is it fair to you? No. Is it reasonable that you people should view you this way, or that people should view you this way? I guess she means. No. Should people hold you in this regard and have such expectations? No. Does it happen? Yes. It happens, therefore it's relevant. I gather this message may make you angry. However, I cannot stand by. I'm going to wait for the camera to come back on. I gather this message may make you angry. However, I cannot stand by and watch this happen without having my say. You are an advocate. People care about you. You give people hope. People look up to you. And then in capital letters, Kim has written, "Get the fuck off social media." End capital letters. Or tell people exactly what's going on so they understand and don't conclude that they are, quote, feeling the same as you, end quote, exclamation mark. So you can imagine how I felt waking up to this message and essentially being told, you're not responsible for an extra... I'm going to wait for the camera to come back on. You can imagine how I felt being told, you're not responsible for an XJW attempting suicide, but you sort of are. That's kind of how I read this. Maybe it's just me, viewers, but that's how I read this. I was in the midst of a meltdown, still am, in the midst of a mental health crisis, still am, had recently been suicidal, and someone in my meltdown support group was, number one, ordering me what to do, Number 2, suggesting I might need to divulge private information about myself. And number 3, suggesting or at least implying that I need to think about other people's mental health, and if someone attempts suicide due to what they have or haven't seen me say in a video, that's my fault. That's how I read this. So I replied, and now the camera's frozen again. So I replied, I don't like being ordered around like this, Kim. Not only am I in no way responsible for what Adam did, but also it's not like I've been posting about my problems in real time. I will stay the fuck on social media, thanks, and continue to post responsibly. What you're essentially advocating for is for mental health to be a taboo, and that the bigger your audience is, the more you need to shut up about it. It's a shame you see it that way, but I disagree. So that was my initial reaction, and my responses became increasingly diplomatic as the conversation continued. But that was the turning point. I was ordered off social media by Kim Silvio. I didn't take that advice. And subsequently, I think the next day, Kim Silvio and producer Bob, who is good friends with Kim Silvio, both quit JW Watch. I have to say, it really, really messed with my head, because at the time I was still reeling from this existential situation I found myself in on New Year's Eve, and then someone goes from calling me to see how I am and being in regular contact and being very friendly and reassuring, to abandoning me. Not just quitting the team and everything, but literally just having nothing to do with me. It was a real, even to this day, the way it all went down is a real mindfuck, you know? It makes me think, well, who can I trust? You know, if someone can be saying all of the things that Kim Silvio was saying and then do an absolute 180, who can I work with now? Who's safe to work with? Who's safe to confide in now? No one. No one is. No one is. So with all of that context, I'm now going to read, I'll just pause for comments. You hit out at her and pushed her away. No, I disagreed. I didn't accept the recommendation. What a weird thing. Aposta babe Linda James says, shut up about mental health. Most of us deal and struggle with this, right? Why not share when in it? This is, I think, what really what I really struggle with here is this whole notion that if you have an audience, you're almost not allowed to have a mental health crisis, and if you do have such a crisis, you need to do it gracefully. You need to do it in a PR friendly way, you know? That's very much the impression I was given by the way Kim Silvio processed everything and framed her recommendation. Nate says, between the comments in the comment section and hearing what these people have said to you, I feel like I am back in a Kingdom Hall and I left that shit 25 years ago. I know. XJWs are fucked up. I'm sorry, it's just true. It's true. We all are. But when you're an XJW, or when you are a JW, you think everyone else's business is yours, and sex is a massive scandal. Sex is, yeah, it's just this thing where if you do anything outside of what the organisation expects, you're worse than a pedophile. That's how it is, isn't it? I'll take a few more comments. I can't believe there's 2,300 people watching this. This is not good YouTube. It just isn't, is it? God. Ashley says, I personally have had mental issues, and it was very comforting to hear when people shared their experiences. Do what is best for you. Thank you, Ashley. Annette says, you have done nothing wrong. This is life we are living, not some fairy tale. Human beings are allowed to take a break, and I, for one, thank you for just letting us know you need or needed a break. Confide in your family and your therapist. Yeah, pretty much that now. And Javier. Javier can't. No, Javier wouldn't do what Kim did. I don't think anyone would do what Kim did. What Kim did is really, really messed up. Monica says, your honesty about the sexual difficulties in your book resonated with me, and what you're going through now is painful but common, thanks to the cult. Thank you, Monica. You have a lot of support. Don't focus on the minority. I honestly feel kind of intuitively that it's always going to be a minority that obsesses over what people do with their penises or genitals. It's always going to be a minority that reacts this way. The weird thing about Kim is that, to begin with, she pretended, or maybe did genuinely think that everything was fine, but she reacted in such a way as to suggest that everything is perfectly fine, and then went nuclear and completely changed her perspective. I'm just seeing what other. Yeah, maybe I should just skip to what Kim posted. Let's do that. So the post on Reddit, which again isn't visible anymore, here's what Kim, apparently we're led to assume, Kim, who is a retired lawyer, I have to be very, very careful, but at least someone posting pretending to be Kim said the following. Some weeks back, Lloyd openly and without warning notified me of his infidelity and engagement with prostitutes on a very regular basis. It was maybe, I'm going to say 2 or 3 months in between. I would go to see sex workers. I didn't have an opportunity to do it on a regular basis. I'm not sure I would need to. So that part is factually untrue and libelous, I'm going to say. Lloyd openly and without warning notified me of his infidelity and engagement with prostitutes on a very regular basis over many years. Many years? I think I'm going to say 3 or 4 years. If that's many years, then fine. Amongst other matters that don't need to be specifically mentioned. Well, this doesn't need to be mentioned, does it? Kim continues, this was shortly before he notified the community that he would be taking a 2-month break from activism to reevaluate my life for the sake of my mental health. This is not correct. Damn well is, Kim. Damn well is. And also, you green-lighted the video where I said this. You listened to the audio and told me that it was good. Lloyd had been in Thailand. Kim offered to help me make arrangements for Thailand. Now my video is frozen again. This is not correct. Lloyd had been in Thailand making use of the many different facilities and getting to know the locals, and apparently I had to ignore the locals and ignore other tourists when I arrive in Thailand. I had to shun everyone. Shortly after Christmas, only returning to Croatia a few days ago. I returned on the 19th of January. It has often been said that activists are happy for individuals to be Jehovah's Witnesses, providing that they know the whole truth about the organisation. Lloyd's subscribers, support team and patrons are not being given the correct information. No, they're not being given information that they're not entitled to, but they're being given correct information. There are matters that he does not want the public to know about, justifiably, Kim, justifiably. Wanting rather to maintain a facade that appeals to those concerned. So I'm being shifty, I'm being sneaky. By keeping my personal and private life private, I'm being somehow surreptitious. And I'm misleading people, is the suggestion here. I'll wait for the camera. To show his narcissistic behavior, deficit regard for the feelings of others. Sorry, I'm going to wait for my camera to come back on. I'm also going to oh, so Lloyd Evans is exactly the same thing as a multinational organization watchtower in control of millions of people. Got it. I know. This apparently I'm on a par with an organization that arranges the mass shunning of thousands of people and the industrial scale cover-up of abuse. That's how bad I am. That's how bad I am for being unfaithful in the mind of Kim Sylvia. To show his narcissistic behavior, deficit regard for the feelings of others, use of funding generated through his activism work to pay for prostitution, an industry known for the exploitation of women and minors, a solo non-mental health related trip to Thailand, and failure to be honest in respect to the true reason for his absence, would cause reproach to be brought upon his name and therefore must not be spoken about. So apparently I have to account for how I spend my money when this is my job. So well, like when a doctor receives money for helping people, apparently he needs to account for, you know, what holidays he goes on, how he spends his money in his private time because he's helping people. Apparently, oh no, sorry, he doesn't. Apparently, I owe everybody an explanation for how I spend my wages. You know, it boggles my mind. And surely anyone who's sat through the messages that Kim was sending, both before and during my trip in Thailand, you'll see just a total U-turn. She goes from being kind and understanding and compassionate to literally wanting to destroy me over this and suggesting that I have misled people when I haven't. I haven't misled anyone. I've just kept private things that are private or should be private. It is hoped that this information will give you the same opportunity that Lloyd gives to all Jehovah's Witnesses about their religion, the truth. You are being deceived by this hypocritical, well, that's rich, dishonest and misogynistic man. Apparently I'm misogynistic. Where's that come from? I'm misogynistic as well, apparently. Do you know why I think Kim has said that? I think she said that because I didn't accept her recommendation to get the fuck off social media. I think basically all of this stems from her being, her feeling put out because I didn't follow her recommendation. And she probably interprets that as misogynistic because I ignored her as a woman. I don't know. Where does misogynism come into it? It's so bizarre. Many times Lloyd has shouted down other activists. I've never called out anyone by name. I've said what kind of activism works and doesn't work, but regarding this channel in particular, I've just kept it all about Watchtower. I think my viewers will agree on that. Members of our community, for not agreeing with him, or as a result of him somehow convincing others that on every single occasion he is questioned, he is the victim. How many activists have stopped their efforts? How many people have been silenced? You would be shocked at how many people have left activism because of him. Apparently, I'm a detriment to ex-Jehovah's Witness activism. I'm holding it back. Is it possible for us all to consider that he has manipulated the entire community to see him as the authority, the only opinion that should be considered? Does he have a monopoly on the activism movement? Never, I don't want to have a monopoly. I've repeatedly said I celebrate other activists. I've brought other activists on the channel and pointed my viewers to their channels and urged them to subscribe to other activists. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, but it feels like I'm doing everything I can to send the elevator back down. With any opportunity I get, I try to promote other ex-Jehovah's Witness voices and get other voices heard, including directing people to other ex-Jehovah's Witness content. So much of what Kim has said on Reddit is unrecognizable from truth, and I'm going to wait for the camera. And what Kim gets right, she knows because I took her into confidence. And for days, if not weeks, Kim led me to assume that everything was fine and there was nothing untoward happening, because there wasn't. It feels as though, purely by virtue of the fact that I've disagreed with Kim on something, namely whether I'm to blame for someone attempting suicide, it feels like Kim has felt butthurt, to put it bluntly, and that's caused her to leave. And maybe with weeks having gone by since then, Kim is scrambling around for other reasons to dislike me or other reasons to destroy me. Maybe she feels conflicted at the way she abandoned me when I was most in need, when I was at my literally darkest hour in my life. I was dropped. And her solution to the way she feels is to not just throw me under the bus, but to throw my family under the bus, because this impacts on all of them. And I promised Deanna I would say as little about her as possible, but I will just read one thing she said on WhatsApp just before I went on YouTube. She said, "I will vomit. I will vomit." That was how Deanna reacted when I sent her the Reddit. Because how can I talk about my private life without in some way talking about Deanna's, you know? And how can I know everyone's been saying, oh, you don't owe anyone an explanation and get off YouTube, but how can I not answer the head of operations of JW Watch, the legal advisor to JW Watch, making those sorts of accusations against me? How can I not answer them? You know, I've got to answer them. My subscribers deserve an answer, and my patrons deserve an answer. So that's why, even though it's been very, very difficult for me to do this, and I feel like I feel like my privacy has been grossly invaded, and I resent being in this situation strongly. I didn't have any choice. Just didn't have any choice. Please send Deanna my love and support. Thank you, Outer Darkness. She's basically blackmailed you. I know loads of JW men that have used sex workers. I'm not prepared for legal reasons to comment on whether there has been blackmail, but thank you for your comment. This is a very sad situation. You are not the first and won't be the last. Lloyd has been forced into making the shittiest decision possible here. He didn't just decide to get into this. Someone he trusted forced him to. Yeah. Kim knows what she knows because I took her into confidence, and I'm sure I said during the Zoom call that, you know, this obviously stays between us, you know. And to producer Bob's credit, I should have actually seen the warning signs, because when they both quit, I specifically said to both of them, it goes without saying, or words to the effect of, it goes without saying that you should keep everything that I've shared with you in confidence confidential. And to producer Bob's credit, producer Bob said, absolutely, I'll keep everything in confidence. It should have been a red flag that Kim refused to say that. This person doesn't care about your family. That says a lot. Yeah, it's everything impacts. It's if it were just impacting me, my feelings on this whole situation would be completely different. If it were just about me and what I do with my dick, who cares? Who cares? But it impacts Deanna. It impacts 7-year-old Jessica. And it impacts 2-year-old Julia. It impacts all of us. It even impacts my in-laws downstairs, who are currently looking after our 2 children. Michelle Taylor says, I'm so sorry for everything you and your family are going through. What are the accusations? I've just read them all. I've just read a screenshot that was sent to me. Maybe there was more, but those are the accusations that I can see. This is so upsetting, says it to me. Ross Red says, I don't care how you spend your money. I am nobody to judge. You will always have my support. This have nothing to do with your activism. Yeah, I mean, what do I need to give receipts? You know, do I need to run, if I buy a new fridge or a new TV or a new PlayStation, do I need to get permission from my patrons first? Either it's my job or it isn't. And how I spend my wages is no more anyone's business than how anyone spends their wages. It's either my job or it isn't, period. If there were strings attached and I had to account for how I spend my money that I've earned through my work, then I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And I don't want anyone to be a patron who thinks that I owe that kind of level of detail. It makes sense. Lloyd needs to answer this statement. Thank you, Amanda. Welcome to the world, Lloyd. You have my support and hope you will be able to save your marriage. Deanna seems to be a wonderful woman. I believe she might forgive you, but it will take time. I will just say that, oh God, is prostitution legal in Croatia? This is the burning question, is it, Truth Seeker? This is the burning question we need to be asking right now. That's the sort of thing that really messes with my head, that people ask that sort of thing. I will just say, and I promised Deanna I would say as little as possible. What do I say now? I'm obviously back home in Croatia, and things aren't back to normal. Neither myself nor Deanna necessarily want things to go back to normal, but we're figuring out what's going to happen next. That's all I'll say. I don't know what to say now, viewers. 2,468 watching. You all like a good train wreck, it seems. Well, here's the number one train wreck. My life. Gnome Eldridge, because apparently Kim's made a YouTube video now. Who knew that Kim is passionate enough to make YouTube videos all of a sudden? Just watched Kim's YouTube video. She's trying to get people to not support your Patreon and YouTube. Yeah, this is the mindset, unfortunately, that I've been up against from the very beginning, is that if you don't meet the expectations of certain XJWs and you don't fulfill their needs or requests, or you don't agree with them in some way, or you disappoint them in some way, it's not just a case of, oh, well, you go your way, I'll go mine. Let's agree to disagree. It's, I'm going to destroy you. I want you as an activist to no longer be a thing. So I'm going to make that my mission, you know? Which is really, it says a lot, doesn't it? It's quite chilling. She's already done her damage. She's already forced me into a situation where I have to talk about incredibly personal things in front of thousands of people on a live stream. Oh, actually, that's not enough. The Reddit post isn't enough. I'm going to jump on YouTube as well. Watchtower's cover-up of child abuse wasn't enough for her to create her own video content. Shunning and the suicide that causes wasn't enough for her to make her own YouTube content. Lloyd Evans having consenting sex with other adults, that's enough to bring Kim Silvio onto YouTube. What more do I need to say? That's what I've been up against for years, that sort of mindset. Shame on you. Shame on you, Kim. It was bad enough that you abandoned me when I was at my absolute lowest. That was bad enough. But for you to try to destroy me even though you clearly were fine with everything, to the point of even offering to help me sort things out on the internet with my entry requirements for Thailand. And now this. Oh, she's here. Was I? Well, you certainly pretended to be. You certainly pretended that you were fine with everything, didn't you? You put up a good show. You put up a damn good show for days or weeks that you were fine with everything. Not once did you say. You even said that my taking a break video was good. And now this. Isn't it interesting how people can change their minds? Admit what I said is true. I've said exactly what I think about your statement, and I've also said what is and isn't true. Because there are things in it that are true, and there are things in it that are not true. Bit of both, Kim, bit of both. What a nerve, she's here, says the faithful and discreet Dave. Yes. Yes. Completely unhinged, it seems. Alison says, Lloyd, your work is saving lives, including my own. Thank you, Alison. Stephen has a comment there. I don't know what else to say, viewers. 90 minutes probably is more than enough, and obviously Kim is now weighing in because she needs to bring down the supervillain Lloyd Evans, who is as much a threat to the world as a cult that covers up child abuse and separates families and arranges for people, persuades people to die by refusing blood. That's the level of my evil, and we should all thank Kim Silvio for bringing it to the world's attention. She's done everyone a huge service. So that's all I have to say, really. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. It's been really frustrating, actually. Tibor offered to come before I went on air to sort things out, and I decided to soldier on alone, and now I regret not asking him to come because it's been a massive distraction doing this live stream with all the technical problems. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to have that snake comment on for quite so long. Okay, well, that's a good question. How can we best help you, Lloyd? I guess everyone is being incredibly helpful. I mean, there's always going to be a messed up minority, always. But I think by and large, people understand that nobody's perfect. I've never pretended to be perfect, you know? As to a facade, I mean, everyone who posts on Instagram, everyone who has a Facebook profile presents a facade of their life that isn't necessarily how things are. No one posts themselves on social media taking a dump. No one posts themselves on social media, you know, having a shag, whether with their significant other or someone else. Everyone puts a curated version of themselves online. Everyone does. Everyone who's on social media. No one can say, oh, I keep it real on my Instagram. I keep it real on my Facebook. I keep it real on my Twitter. Nonsense. We all put an image of ourselves out there that isn't necessarily how it is, you know? None of us puts ourselves at our worst online. None of us does. So I reject the whole premise that I have presented a facade. Everyone presents a facade. Everyone chooses what they will share or not share. There's nothing surreptitious about that. It boils down to what are people entitled to know about you? And the things I shared in confidence with Kim, no one was entitled to know. No one was. I think objectively we can say that. But I think for whatever reason, Kim has decided that she needs to destroy me, which, you know, good luck. Watchtower, I'm sure, would want in on that action. So maybe they can be your sponsor, if they're not already. But to Michelle's question, how can we best help you, Lloyd? Stick around, you know? Bear with me, be patient, because I like to think I've not made my last YouTube video. I like to think I'll be back at some point. I like to think I'm not going to have to make Tibor redundant or fire him. He's currently working on the Truth About the Truth documentary. I really hope there's a job for him to go to once all of this is over. And that will depend on the reaction. That will depend, is there an audience? Everything's uncertain, I suppose, but if it's within my power, I'm going to carry on, and I just ask everyone to be patient. I'm going to go back into my hiatus now, and I'm not going to say anything else. I feel like I've overshared. My video's frozen again. I feel like I've overshared already. It's very much a TMI situation, isn't it? I literally don't have anything to hide anymore. It's quite liberating in a way, although again, I resent being put in this situation. So yeah, I'll let the audience adjudicate, you know? Are things as grave as Kim would like you to believe? You know, you be the judge. But yeah, just be patient really. And I will close on a really lovely message. I hope Javi doesn't mind me reading it out, because I think it's important to provide balance, because I was describing before how I felt put out that he'd gone a bit quiet on me at a certain point in this whole story. And he sent a really lovely message just before I came on. He said, I just want to say, Lloyd, outside of fiddling kids, clubbing baby seals, or emptying my pockets, what you do in your personal life doesn't concern me. I'm here, your friend, without judgment. What Kim posted makes me feel really bad for Deanna. Your personal lives are out there like that, probably without consent, definitely without consent, and I can't begin to imagine how you're both feeling today. I just want to have said that to you. Also, please prioritize your mental health and your relationship. I know this seems like a tsunami right now, but please put in the work for yourselves and those beautiful girls you're raising. We didn't escape a fucking cult to spoil on a vine. Life is hard, but definitely worth it. Hugs to you, bro. That's from Javi. I'll take any positivity I can get. But that's all I have for you, folks. That's all I have. I won't be posting again probably until, unless there's a, you know, something similarly huge, and I can't see how there could be, because again, I've shared everything, I've overshared. If you see me again, it will probably be March, but we'll see. And thank you so much to all of the really lovely messages that have been flooding through. I really, really appreciate the support and solidarity and kindness and love and compassion. I'm not perfect, never pretended to be, and I need to work some stuff out. That's all I have for you. Take care, everyone.